like to turn briefly to Reading Football Club and to just tell a little bit of the story of what's happened at the club, and also to call for action from the current owner, Mr. Dai Yongge, who's been delaying selling the club, which has caused huge problems for fans, players and the club itself. Now, Reading is one of the oldest clubs in the Football League, and yet it is in real difficulty at the moment. We've had a very successful career, an illustrious history over many, many years, including 2 spells in the Premiership, the highest ever points achieved in the Championship, and numerous other successes. Sadly, we've never got to an FA Cup final. We've had some amazing cup runs, and yet our club, unfortunately, in recent times has fallen into a difficult period, and this is because of irresponsible ownership. And indeed, the case of Reading is similar to a number of other clubs. I've worked with other colleagues, and I have to say the previous work on under the previous government, the Football Governance Bill, I'm very glad to see that's being brought back by our front bench team, and I do hope that soon becomes law to deal with these problems of irresponsible ownership, which have been felt across the country in a number of clubs, many of them in medium-sized towns and cities around the country, and I know other colleagues have strong feelings about this as well. Just to tell the story a little bit and briefly before I call for action from Mr. Yongge again, I would like to point out how difficult this has been. So the reason the club has been so badly affected by his ownership is a series of pieces of financial mismanagement when he failed to pay HMRC on time, and as a result points were deducted. So Reading were relegated from the Championship into League One purely because of points deductions, not because of anything that happened on the pitch, and that is grossly unfair on the club and on the players and on local fans. It's completely and utterly unacceptable. And the same thing could happen to other clubs in the Football League in exactly the same way, and with the same issues with irresponsible ownership, owners who fail to live up to the standards that they should be adhering to. Sadly, at the moment, the powers available to the EFL are not as great as they might be, and I do hope that the bill, which will hopefully come to Parliament shortly, will tackle this and will set a high bar for ownership. It's interesting that Mr. Dai wasn't allowed to buy Hull City. The Premier League were able to intervene and avoid that happening. The EFL didn't have the powers at the time to stop him from buying Reading, which is an absolute tragedy for our fans and for the players and for the club. And I do hope that something can be done about this. We've been hoping for a sale since last October. Myself and the former member for Bracknell attended a march from Reading Town Centre with several thousand fans last October, and we've managed to accidentally stop all traffic on a local A road. And we sent a very strong message at that point, and fans sent a very strong message to Mr. Dai that he needed to sell the club. He needed to get on with selling the club, find a preferred bidder and work with them to move things on so the new owner could come and invest in the club. And that, in the last year, this situation has not been properly addressed. He's been in discussion with Rob Couhig, the former owner of Wycombe, but sadly that fell through a few days ago. We've now had the declaration, the announcement, that there is a new preferred bidder who's come forward. Now, I would urge Mr. Dai at this point to take all reasonable steps to engage with this new preferred bidder quickly and to conclude a sale so that we can move on and help take our wonderful club forward, get it back up into a higher position than it currently is, ideally into the Premiership, but the Championship will do for the moment. So I would urge him to get on with it, to sell the club and to take action on behalf of the people of Reading.